Excuse me, folks. Excuse me. Folks, the evening's just about to start, but before we do that, if we could just have your attention for a moment. Brad Morris would like to, on behalf of GS Shapland, have the draw for the Batesville casket. So Brad's going to come forward and we'll draw that and announce the winner. The winner is David Rush from James R. Hill. Cheers, mate. Thank you. The only condition is you take it home with you tonight. All right. All right, so you're all set? Who was it? David Rush from James R. Hill.
Oh, very good. Well, it doesn't have far to go.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, could I have you up standing for the graduates, please? Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to this very special occasion. My name's Ian McKinnon. Most of you will know me, the National President, and it's my privilege and it's my opportunity to welcome you here tonight. This evening is one of the highlights of our funeral year, we would say, because it's great to honour all the hard work and dedication of these folk here. I won't say young people, as there's often, because there's a good mix there, but anyhow. I would like to just also welcome specially some guests that we have with us. Professor Mike Marfell-Jones, Chair of the Funeral Service Training Trust. Welcome, Mike. Mary Lou Sloan, Head of Health and Social Sciences in Welltech. Cameron Moray-Smith is our Welltech tutor. Kay Gregory. Kay is our media and PR consultant for our Funeral Directors Association. Kay also is on the judging panel for the President's Award, which you'll hear a bit about later. And a special welcome to graduates, class 2011-2012. It's exciting, isn't it? It really is, yes. Because you see, it wasn't too long ago that I did what you did. I took a while to get through, many years. And but I can still remember that time, and even as an older guy, I was excited. So congratulations. Also to the family and supporters. And when you start singling people out, you run the risk of missing out on people. So if I do, I apologise now. But to the family and supporters, because we know you were the people that were behind the scenes supporting these folk as they managed families, as they went to work, as they studied, did their assignments and so forth. So thank you for coming along and the friends that have supported. Also, Gavin, our MC for the night. Gavin is our Vice President of the Funeral Directors Association. And last but not least, all you great people, I was going to say delegates, but not, FDANZ members and other funeral directors that are at the coalface of funeral service in New Zealand, because you are the people that drive everything that happens here. Thank you for coming and supporting these folk. It is a real special night tonight because not only do we celebrate the hard work of these graduates, it's an opportunity to have a good time together, and we have some dedicated entertainment later, long after the official ceremony is moved on, and I'm sure we're going to have a good meal. So thank you for coming. Welcome again. Enjoy yourselves, enjoy the night, and I'll now hand over to Gavin as he'll be our MC for the night. Thanks, Gavin.
Thank you, President Eon, and welcome to you all. I have to say, the passion as the students came through the door is fantastic, and tonight is all about the students. And we're going to keep the speeches fairly brief because we really want to celebrate the success of the students from 2011-2012. So as they come forward to receive their certificates through the night, do give that same passion. I think it's a fantastic achievement that the students or the graduates are here this evening picking up their certificates, and we want you all to have an enjoyable evening, so thank you. There's a couple of housekeeping issues before we start. The first is that the bathrooms or toilets are around to the right as we go through the door and across the other side of the foyer. The exits, just clearly labelled there. If there is an earthquake, just follow me because I'll be the first out. Yeah, just those two things, and obviously with cell phones, very welcome to have them on, but if we could have them on silent, please. Our first speaker of the evening is Professor Mike Marfell-Jones, who is the chair of FSTT, well known to us all here in funeral service, been a fantastic supporter of funeral service, and Professor Marfell-Jones is going to address us this evening, and I'd like to hand over to you, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you, Gavin. I'm grateful that you didn't say still the chair of the FSTT. But it's my privilege to be here this evening once again. President Eon, distinguished guests, graduates, of course, ladies and gentlemen. I've written the recent editorial for the Funeral Care magazine, and it was about things that happen on plane trips. I didn't anticipate that this similar thing was going to happen on the trip to this graduation this evening. So I looked up Google Maps to find out exactly where this hotel was that I'd never been to before, and identified it was very clearly on Merrill Drive. Unfortunately missed the Wellesley Street turn-off from the motorway, so I couldn't come down and approach it from the left, and I approached it from Cook Street and the right. And I got a wonderful view of the hotel from the opposite side of the road with no ability to turn in. So unfortunately with the one-way streets these days, you've then got to do a little bit of a detour. So a mere kilometre later, I was able to come past on the left on the curbside. Unfortunately, the hotel is situated just out of view as you approach it. So as I caught a peripheral vision glimpse of it, I'd already missed the turnoff. So this time, a mere kilometre later, I cunningly came down Grays Avenue, which I recall being stopped by a police car in many years ago for speeding, in an Austin A40, which is and very cleverly came down there, only to find that you can only turn left from there, in which case you've missed the hotel. So with a 1.5 kilometre detour right up to Karangahape Road and down Queen Street, I was getting pretty cunning at this stage and stalking the hotel. So I saw a taxi cab pulled up. I knew I was in with about 50 metres, and pulled in front of him and said, well, look, I'm trying to get to this hotel. He sort of looked blankly at me. I said, the big building in front of you. I said, there are only 2 driveways here. Which one do I turn into? He turned out to be close in his estimate of which one it was, but fortunately it was a dead end, so I was able to back out and finally get here. But it is a real privilege, and I attempted to write a speech, but failed miserably because I couldn't get any internet connection, and I couldn't print anything and so on. So I've just written a couple of headings which I want to cover. I've spoken many times about the various aspects of education and things that are important. I've talked about perseverance, I've talked about reading, I've talked about writing, and I've talked about learning from role models. And this is where our graduates have such an advantage, because they have so many positive, super role models in the industry. I've said many times, and I don't have any fear of repeating it, this is a very professional industry. The presentation is very professional, the care is genuine, and the belief in education is both sincere and pragmatic. And you are the beneficiaries of that. We've seen a development in education over the last 30 years from block courses where they genuinely were block courses. You didn't do any study in between. And people came down and they studied, they gave the illusion of studying during the day in class, but they certainly didn't do any study in the evenings. And they went home and they passed the course. So effectively they did 12 weeks maybe of attendance, and that was about it. Nevertheless, they turned out to be pretty capable funeral directors. Today, you're here for a 15-month course, and you're expected to do about an 18-month load of work. That's on top of the work that you do when you go back to your companies. So it's much harder today, but the results are much better. It doesn't, as I've said many times before, it doesn't make you a better funeral director than some of the very, very experienced, very, very capable people out there. But it does make you a better funeral director than you would have been had you not come on the program. There are a number of people that I want to thank, as I usually do, but I want to make special mention of the teaching staff at Welltech and prior to that at CIT. The course has been blessed with excellent program leaders or tutors. They really have. Initially, they came directly from the industry, and these were people who were running their own businesses. And some of those are here this evening. But then we appointed our first full-time tutor, and some of the tutors that we have subsequently employed, all of whom were excellent, are here this evening. And our current tutor is Cameron Moray-Smith, and he's supported by a good team. As most of you know, this is going to be Cameron's last year, where the graduates will get the benefit and the industry will get the benefit of his skill and knowledge. And I'd like to give him a special thank you for his effort over the past so many years when he's been at Welltech, because in FSTT, we're very proud of the job that he's done, and we wish him all the very best for the future. So I'd like to conclude by thanking, once again, as President Eon did, the families who support the students to come. For some of them, it's a big wrench. For some of them, it's the first time that their spouses have been away for any length of time from the family, and they've coped with that. I'd like to thank the companies who have provided support. And I look down the names of the companies, and there's so many that I know, and I know of, and I know where they are, and I know who the key players are. But equally, there are some new companies. There's some that didn't exist when I first started, and there's some that have even changed their name, and that's great. And lastly, and most importantly, I'd like to thank the graduates, the graduands, they'll be graduates shortly, for all their hard work. You won't regret it, and we know that you'll move on to great things from here. Congratulations.
Thank you, Professor. Professor Marfell-Jones, when I went through my embalming course, was Dr. Marfell-Jones at CIT, and I had this utmost respect for him, and he was just a fantastic tutor, absolutely pedantic. We had to spell everything right, but I sort of used to hang on every word he said and try and absorb as much as I could, and that was a challenge for me. It was hard yakka. But I came in tonight, and just before we came through here, and he said, "Oh, g'day, Gavin, here you go." I said, "Great, thanks." He said, "I like your tie." I was, "Oh, thanks very much. It doesn't go with your suit." Thanks very much. Next to address us is Cameron Moray-Smith. As Professor Marfell-Jones has said, unfortunately Cam has made the decision to join his fiancée in Australia, so this will be most likely his last presentation to us. We're obviously very sad about the fact he's done fantastic work in his time as the tutor, and certainly leaves very big shoes to fill, and obviously the industry and WellTech are on the lookout for the next person who's going to fill those shoes now. So Cam, if you'd like to come up and say a few words. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gavin and Professor Mike. They asked me to keep it short, and to be honest, I really don't know what to say, which is a bit unusual, really, for those of you that have been through my class. I've usually got plenty to say. I could thank a whole lot of people, and I could say a whole lot of things about my time at WellTech, but of course this isn't about me. This is about the 16 people sitting to my right. But before I congratulate the graduands, I'd like to just ask if the class would give a very big thanks to the industry, because WellTech is not about one person, it's not about a group of teachers necessarily, it's about the strength of the program, and the strength of the program comes through WellTech and the structure that we have as an institute and the teaching staff, but also because we get the most amazing support of any program, I believe, at WellTech or any other institute in this country from you guys. We can't do it without you, whether it's you guys as a family of the students, the employers or the supervisors, or a combination of the above. Please, if you'd just like to thank our industry supporters, because the program wouldn't exist without everyone here. Okay, flip that on its head. Now, a very, very big congratulations. I've really enjoyed teaching you guys. It is a very sad day for me in many respects, but as I say, I'm really stoked to see you succeed. So I'm going to leave it at that, and let's get the formalities, because I know you guys have been champing at the bits to get these diplomas on the wall, and that's what tonight's all about. So well done.
Thanks, Cameron. What we're going to do is invite the graduands up on stage, and there's a couple of presentations. We're going to, Professor Marfell-Jones and Cameron are going to present the diploma in funeral directing, and then President Eon McKinnon is going to present the register or practicing certificate for FDANZ. So what we'll do, students or graduates, is we to come up onto the stage and back down these stairs to the seats on the other side. Our first graduand this evening is Anthony Beecham from Beecham Funeral Home, and his supervisor was Peter Beecham. Next up, we have Raywin Bettison from Morris & Morris Limited, whose supervisor was Dale Edwardson. Next on stage we have Edward Brackenberry Gray from G and Hickton and Lower Huts, Dana Brown. Next we have Wayne Eccles from Morrison's Funeral Directors in Auckland, and his supervisor was Roger Morrison. Now I'd like to invite Susan Eustace from Sybin's Funeral Directors and Advisors, whose supervisor was John Drake. Now I'd like to invite David Fraser from Southern Funeral Home, whose supervisor was Heather Stevens. I'd like to invite Heather Fuller from Jeffrey Hall, Funeral Director, whose supervisor was Mark Glanville. I'd now like to invite Andy Harley from Davis Funerals, whose supervisor was Neil Little. I'd like to invite Tani Elise from Academy Funeral Services in Christchurch, whose supervisor was George Holtz. Now I'd like to invite Anna Louise Loach from Shone and Shirley and Nelson, whose supervisor was Alistair Reid. now like to invite Monique Longley from Tongan-Peria, whose supervisor was Steve Hibbard. Averill McBride from Wilson Funeral Services, whose supervisor was Vic Wilson. I'd like to invite Janice Millis from Affinity Funerals, whose supervisor was the very busy Heather Stephen. I'd like to invite Andrew Morrison from Morrison's Funeral Directors in Auckland, whose supervisor was Ruth Pattinson. I'd like to invite Carleen Peroni from Troop Funeral Home, whose supervisor was Diane Troop. And last but not least, David Rush from James R. Hill in Hamilton, whose supervisor was Stan Stout. It makes Eon look small, doesn't he? Well done. So folks, we'll just put our hands together for all of the graduates to congratulate them. Folks, we've now got some very special awards to make, and there's four actually. The first one, and we'll present these shortly, is the GS Chaplain Endeavour Award, which Brad Morris will come and present. Following that, if the person who receives that, if you'd like to say a couple of words, you're very welcome to do so. And then we'll have the GS Chaplain Application Award, which Bruce Reid will present. Following that, the Regal Manufacturers Overall Top Student, in all papers, which Matthew Worthington will present, and then following that, the FDANZ top award overall, which President Eon will present. So if I could ask Brad to come forward and just say a few words and announce the winner. Thank you.
Just on behalf of GS Chaplin, I'd like to thank Eon and his team, Cameron for his efforts, the funeral home owners and supervisors, and also a big congratulations to the students. The FD course can be very demanding for the students, as well as studying and doing assignments. They have to continue on with work and family demands. Depending on what funeral home they come from, they might not be exposed to many ethnic groups or cultures, and some may come from funeral homes where they don't have the same workload as other firms. So the Endeavour Award is for the student who has shown commitment, effort, and endeavour over and above what is required. There's 2 recipients receiving this award tonight, and they are Heather Fuller and Tanya Lees.
Okay, good. Well done, ladies. The next award that will be presented is from GS Chaplin again, from Bruce Reid, and that's the award for the most improved student. So if Bruce would like to come forward and do that presentation.
Thank you, Gavin. Good evening, executive members, ladies and gentlemen, and graduating students. If I can just say a few words, firstly, I'd like to congratulate all the companies that have supported the students through their diploma. It is a big commitment for the companies to do this, both financially and in terms of resource. But it is equally important to continue to train and continue to maintain and improve the professionalism and the knowledge within the industry. I would like to congratulate all the students for completing their diploma in funeral directing. We all know it's not easy going back to school, especially when you're an older student. The GS Chaplin Award for the most improved student is awarded to the student showing the greatest improvement over the duration of the program. Also considered are those having faced challenges and adversity over and above the minimum required effort normally required to obtain the qualification. The GS Chaplin Award for the most improved student for the course of 2011-2012 goes to Carleen Peroni.
The third award that will be presented tonight is the Regal Manufacturers Award for Top Overall Student. And Matthew Worthington's going to come forward and present that shortly. But before we do that, I'll just, following that, we're going to have David Fraser and Heather Fuller come forward and address us all as students. And following that, just to keep you on the edge of your seats, we'll present the award to the top overall student. So, Matt, if you could come forward, please.
Actually, that one, stay there.
Good evening. President Eon McKinnon, executive members, Executive Officer Robin Gruby, graduates and their families, ladies and gentlemen. Honouring achievement is an extremely important part of our society. An example of the value and importance that we place on honouring those who do really well is the presentation ceremony tonight for Valerie Adams. Tonight, Valerie Adams is going to receive her Olympic gold medal in front of thousands at the Cloud on Queen's Wharf. The medal will be presented by the Governor-General, Sir Jerry Mataparai, and it will be followed by a massive fireworks display. And that's the effort we go to as a society. And tonight, I'd really like to honour you students and say congratulations on a job well done. Honouring achievement is a just reward for hard work, and it provides us all with a sense of well-being, and that's something that Regal Manufacturers is delighted to be a part of. You've had to juggle work life and family commitments, and study is no mean feat. I'd also like to honour the top overall student. This is the student that achieves the highest aggregate mark across all assessments in the entire program. And for the class of 2011, the Regal Supreme Award for Top Overall Student is presented to Sue Eustace. Sue is from Sybin's Funeral Home.
Yes.
And her supervisor was John Drake.
Thank you, John.
Kendrick.
Okay. Well, I have to say thank you to a wonderful team at Sybin's, my mentor John and Kay Shannon, my manager, who's given me all the support I need, and my wonderful colleague Shane, who taught me that I must have my wheels straight at a funeral on the hearse, and I even have my car wheels straight now, so on my own car. But yes, it was in the amazing class that I had this year, where we've had so much fun and we've all enjoyed each other, and it's just been fantastic. Thank you.
Well done, Susan. I'm going to change the order, actually. We're going to do the top the FDANZ presentation for the top funeral directing student now, before David Fraser and Heather Fuller come up, because we've let the cat out of the bag anyway. So come back, Susan. You're the top student for FDANZ. Well done to you all. I'd like to now invite David Fraser and Heather Fuller to come and address us as students.
Rochelle, would you mind stepping up on stage, please? Yeah, yes, yeah. Hold on, they're your glasses. And that's your piece of paper. Good job. And you're going first.
Oh, thanks.
Okay.
And Cameron, can you come and stand up here too, please? Good evening, everybody. On behalf of all my fellow students, I would like to thank all of our employers who had the faith and believed in us to send us up to Welltech to start our funeral directing diploma. Our supervisors who willingly gave us their time, knowledge and support. Without the guidance and support of our employers and supervisors, we would not have been able to complete our diplomas, and it's wonderful to have you here supporting us tonight. I would especially like to thank our families who have also supported us. Working full-time, taking care of our families and having to study has certainly made the 15 months we took to complete our diplomas very trying at times. And I'm sure you will all be pleased not to have to listen to us moaning about having to have our case reports and assignments back to Cameron by the due dates, then having to listen to us moan when Cameron sent back our case reports assignments with minimum marks, even though we always thought they should have been excellence, Cameron. Having you all here to share with us to receive our diplomas tonight means so much to us all. Who would have thought that only 2 weeks after returning from Welltech at the start of our course, that myself and Tania's lives would be turned upside down with the devastating February 22nd earthquake. I would like to thank our fellow students, Cameron and Rochelle, who phoned us to make sure that ourselves and our families were okay. Having to return to Welltech in May was extremely hard, knowing we were on the 6th floor of the Welltech building. Your continued support with Tania and myself was very much appreciated. All I can say is thank God our beloved GP was on ground level. Tania, I think you deserve a special mention. Not only were you dealing with the efforts of the earthquake, you were trying to support your family. You couldn't live in your home due to the damage. Your family's business also suffered, let alone even thinking about having to complete case reports, assignments and logbooks. Tan, you need to be very proud of your achievements, as I personally know what a very stressful time we have been through. A huge thank you has to go to Cameron and Rochelle. You were so lucky to have such a fantastic group of students. We had many laughs in the class, and we really enjoyed giving you a challenge or two, Cameron. Rochelle, you understood us all so well, and you made our behavioural science classes so enjoyable, even if some of your guests didn't like funeral directors. Cameron, you will be very much missed at Welltech and throughout the funeral industry. You have such wonderful knowledge and experience that certainly helped us all achieve our diplomas today. We wish you and Kate all the best in Australia. And lastly, I'd like to thank the class of 2011. We were such a fantastic class who all got along and supported each other so well. We have made lifelong friendships that I know we will all treasure and look forward to continuing with our get-togethers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow classmates. I'd like to acknowledge Heather for her thanks here tonight and add some of my own reflections from the course on behalf of us all that are graduating tonight. We have an amazing class. It has been a privilege to work alongside each of you during the last 15 months. Meeting each of you and some of your families and making great friends has been very rewarding. We have a very diverse group of people, with people coming from different backgrounds to this industry. The stories of what motivated people to become funeral directors appears to have a common theme, their own grief experience. Everyone has empathy with people, great skills in connecting with each other, which has been very evident at the social occasions at the GP. For Auckland people, the GP is a little pub down at the bottom of the Welltech hill street where we meet each night. We've had lots of social occasions there, and just the emails and texts that frequently go around the group just shows us what a tight bunch we really are. Some of the highlights of the contents of the course include learning about the psychology of why we need funerals and their purpose in society. It was very interesting and was reinforced to me when I heard Todd Van Beck speak in Dunedin about death illiteracy. And today at the conference, Casey mentioned about the value of the funerals. I guess as a bloke going to funerals, not being involved in before I was involved in the industry, you went along, you paid your respects to the family, but had the cup of tea, ate the sandwiches, and really didn't think too much more about why you were even there. We now know what luminality means, and the fact that a funeral is a mechanism for integration and status passage. Thank you for that, Cameron.
Apparently you don't know how to say it, though. Liminality.
That's what I said, liminality. The behavioural science section taught by Rochelle was particularly interesting, as the most important part of our job is to be able to communicate with excellence, encoding, decoding, non-verbal communication, and reading the body language of our families makes us effective in dealing with our client families. The speakers we had and the visits arranged by Cameron to different ethnic groups was most interesting, and great preparation for any future situations we might find ourselves. New Zealand has become a very multicultural country, and we need to be aware of all cultural needs. Especially interesting for me, as the only ethnic group we have in Gore is the Greek community and North Islanders. The class presentations that most people fretted and sweated over and had sleepless nights about were all very impressive and very informative, and will serve as a great reference material in the future. Everybody's presentation was varied and different, high-tech or low-tech, but all showed a lot of thought and effort. A particular highlight for us as a group, and especially for me, was the afternoon we spent at the Tomb of the Unknown Warrior. This was a very special personal time and was very moving. Classmates shared very personal stories, all in their own way. Emotions run very high that afternoon. This, for me, demonstrated the trust and respect shown by each class member to another. The class bonding sessions at the GP most nights were fun, and the debriefing on the day's lectures most important. The girls really got carried away with these sessions and had many inventive ways of influencing Cameron in the hope of improving their marks. The blokes were always very calm and level-headed as usual. We had some great nights out in Wellington, especially the quiz night at Averill's Sisters Bowling Club, and the following nights of our block courses, and the meals out with Cameron and Rochelle. I have every confidence that our class will serve the funeral industry well over the coming years. The maturity, compassion and practical skills that have been demonstrated during our training will be used to benefit our grieving families. A special thanks once again to Cameron, Rochelle, current employers, supervisors for their knowledge, experience and guidance, and the belief they have shown in us as we have learnt the art of a very special business. Thank you. Yes, do the joke, Heather.
Oh, hang on. Do you want to say? No, you go. We just sort of thought, after all the sort of formalities and things, Dave and I talked about, and we thought we'd quite like to do a wee joke. Dave sent me a joke and I said, Dave, you can't do that. So we found this one, what we thought, I'm sure, hopefully you will like. And it's called My Private Part Died. An old man, Mr. Wallace, was living in a nursing home. One day he appeared to be very sad and depressed. Nurse Tracy asked him if there was anything wrong. Yes, Nurse Tracy, said Mr. Wallett, my private part died today and I'm very sad. Knowing her patients were a little forgetful and sometimes a little crazy, she replied, I'm so sorry, Mr. Wallace. Please accept my condolences. The following day, Mr. Wallace was walking down the hall with his private part hanging out of his pyjamas. He met Nurse Tracy. She said, you shouldn't be walking down the hall like that. Please put your private part back inside your pyjamas. But Nurse Tracy, I can't, replied Mr. Wallace. I told you yesterday that my private part died. Yes, said Nurse Tracy, you did tell me that, but why is it hanging out of your pyjamas? And you're all got to love this. Well, he replied, today is the viewing.
Hi everyone, this is totally off the cuff, but I just feel compelled to respond to that. Not quite sure how at the moment, but I'm Rochelle Gamoni and I was the behavioural science tutor, and believe you me, I learnt way more than they ever did. The greatest gift I ever had was being given the opportunity to deliver on this program, and I've had an awesome time. You've taught me a lot and it's been a really cathartic experience for me. I recall one particular time the CEO was taking some officials on a tour of the building, and she walked past our classroom and and there was a lot of noise coming from our classroom, as there often was, and I actually happened to come out at the time, and one of the officials approached me and said, lots of laughter coming from that course, that must be a really good course, what are you studying? I said, funeral directing. But I just want to echo what everyone said, and in thanking your families and your employers who supported you, but I just want to applaud you, because the greatest gift for me is seeing you walk up on the stage tonight, particularly those of you who believed you never would, and I never for a minute doubted from day one, so well done.
That's great. Folks, that brings this part of the formalities to a close. At 9 p.m, President Eon will be announcing the winner of the FDANZ President's Award and also announcing the topic for next year's essay. But I have to say, I've been to a number of graduations over the years with my time on the executive of FDANZ, and the togetherness of this class is, has struck me tonight, and particularly when, yesterday too, when we, Tony and I ran into a few who had just left the bar. Look, I just, congratulations. I think it's fantastic that you've all kept the relationship together, and I urge you as you continue in your careers and your profession to keep in contact with one another and keep sharing those experiences. So well done all. Enjoy the evening. At 9:15 we've got the band starting, and I see on the run sheet the bar's open till 1:30 p.m, so Mark Graham, you'll be fine, mate. Must have heard about you. So enjoy the night and enjoy each other's company, and the entrees and mains will be out shortly. Well done.